Alright guys, it's your bro LorTomo here, and today we're going to be talking about the top 10 best units in anime Vanguard. So grab a snack, leave a like down below, and subscribe. Let's get right into this video. Alright guys, let's start with the honorable mentions, and these are basically the units that are pretty strong on top 10 level, but just are not in that top 10. Just everything else in the top 10 is just so much better, has much more utility, is so much stronger than them, but they are right there, and they are very, very usable units in this current meta. So in the top 10 honorable mentions, we have Gojo, Saber Alter, and Ragnar. Now, we're not going to be going in depth and too deep about these units. I'll just say that Ragnar is Monarch with no Monarch, Saber Alter buffs her allies and then buffs herself, and then Gojo is still an insane unit with a low cooldown time stop. Great CC. Now, let's get into the top 10. At number 10, we have Ichigo. Ichigo is an insane unit. Let's go and see what Ichigo does. So Ichigo has a passive, number 1, plus 20% damage and plus 10% range for every missing life stock. When a life stock is lost, this unit will deal 500% damage. So on his next basic attack. So he basically has a nuke and then gets 20% damage and 10% range every time a life stock is missing. Now, that's not even the best part of Ichigo. Ichigo has this ability, Save the AV Society. For anything that requires a group or category, this unit is treated as part of that category. For every upgrade this unit gains, increases damage and range buffs from number 1 by 5% and 2.5% respectively. Now, what this means is, a lot of people don't really understand what Ichigo does, but this means that you can put Ichigo with Ishtar and he will gain the Ishtar buff. He acts as those units. He's quite literally every single like type unit. He's a Fate unit, he's a Bleach unit, he's a Dragon Ball unit. So there's a new Dragon Ball character that only buffs Dragon Ball units. He's getting that buff. You put him next to Gilgamesh, he will act as a Saber. He will not debuff Gilgamesh. Things like that. Ichigo is a great unit, and then he has this active ability that goes hand in hand with his first passive that consumes 1 base life stock and does 200% damage for 40 seconds. So essentially he has a 700% damage on a basic attack. He has 700% damage on a basic attack because he's taking a stock away, and then he's getting another 20% damage. So he has 720% damage on 1 attack. He has a nuke. He's ridiculous. So yeah, that's Ichigo. Ichigo is number 10 on this list. At number 9 on the tier list, we have Gilgamesh. Yes, Gilgamesh is still a great unit, still in the meta, and still a great solo character, especially if you have Monarch on him. Now, let's go ahead and see what Gilgamesh does. Gilgamesh, he has King of the World. He's immune to status ailments. He cannot be stunned. He cannot be anything. Can't be frozen, nothing, right? He gets 30% damage and minus 10% SPA. Damage minus 6% for each unit within range down to 30%. So if you are not Saber or Ishtar and you place a unit in Gilgamesh's range, and Gilgamesh has ridiculous range, he will get debuffed. Okay, so that's why you don't want to place your farms near him. You don't want to do any of that. Then he has this range and damage was 1% with each attack up to 35%. So this is basically here to kind of like offset this 30% debuff if you do have it. And if you don't have it, that's just another extra 35% damage to him. And attacks ignore 50% of enemy damage reduction, which is great. Then he gains the Unbound element at upgrade 10. And then his ability Enuma Eilish, which is his bread and butter. Basically, non-boss enemies below 10% HP will be automatically executed. So he's great. He's a great solo character for boss rush. He's a great solo character. He's a great character to use in tournaments where you need kills. He's a great unit to just bring anywhere. He's crazy. He's really, really good. He's broken, basically. He's broken. That active ability, and he does so much damage. He's going from like 180k to like 500, 600k. He's up there. So yes, we have Gilgamesh in number 9. All right, coming in at number 8, we have Alukard. Alukard is the very first secret unit in the game, and he's not here because he's crazy powerful or anything, but because of the utility he brings to the team. He is a cheap AoE character. A very, very cheap AoE, and he is multi-hit AoE bleed. Now, let's look at him. His attacks inflict bleed equal to 25% of this unit's damage. Number 1. Already, that's crazy, right? Enemies that enter this unit's range while bleeding will be afflicted with wounded, and he has a lot of range. Enemies afflicted with wounded take 20% more damage. And this is not 20% more damage from bleed. This is not just 20% more damage from Alukard attacks. This is 20% more damage from everything. This includes Gazelle summons. This includes Sanji Wu summons. This includes Gilgamesh attacks. This includes Saber's attacks. They do 20% more damage to everything. Everything. That's why he is so strong. Alukard is insanely strong. And then he has a restraint level 0 that just gives him an extra SPA decrease and summons ghouls. These ghouls aren't as strong as, you know, Sanji Wu summons, but he does get an extra 1% damage up to 35% every time a ghoul dies in his range. So yes, Alukard is here. He is on this list and he is top 10 in the game. All right, coming in at number 7, we have Yamamoto. Yamamoto is the newest Bleach unit. He is a burn character, and you can get him by doing the legend stage he's in for a 0.75% drop rate. Now, Yamamoto Captain does quite a bit. His attacks inflict burn for 25% of his damage, plus 10% damage and minus 2% SPA for every burning enemy in this unit's range, up to 30% and 10%. So every time a unit is burning, if 3 units are burning, he gets 30% damage and a whole bunch of SPA, right? So and it's not even just from his burn, it's from any burn unit and at all. Then he has South. Every enemy this unit kills gets revived as a skeleton, with its health being 40% of this unit's attack stat. Damage dealt by these skeletons count as burn damage. For every skeleton alive on the track, increases damage by 2% up to 30%. Yes, so for every skeleton alive on the track, increases damage by 2% up to 30%. So now he has, what, 60% damage just to himself on his passive, and then these skeletons that he's killing and reviving count as burn damage. They do burn damage. And then gains active north. Any enemy that walks into this unit's range is inflicted with burn. Every 15 seconds, increase that damage of burn applied to the same enemy by this unit by 1% every time it is applied to the same enemy. And he basically has a firewall. Yamamoto has a firewall. He's a firewall. He's ridiculous. So you can bring him in infinites, you can bring him in general content, you can bring him anywhere, and he will just kill all of the units with burn. If you pair this guy up with Choi Jong-un, you pair him up with Rengoku, yes, he's gonna be doing a whole bunch of damage. Now, I will say Choi is another one of those units that should be in the honorable mentions. He is kind of underrated, and he's a great burn unit. Great burn unit. But yes, we are putting Yamamoto in 7. Coming in at number 6, and this is pretty interchangeable between 5 and 6, we have Saber. Now, I decided to put Saber in here because she's still one of the highest DPS characters in the game. Let's take a look at what Saber does, right? Saber, King of Knights. Upgrade 0 to 5, SPA minus 20%, attacks repulse to enemies. You place her down, she automatically has CC on her attacks. The enemies start walking backwards every time she attacks them. Damage 100% when hitting an enemy for the first time. So any new enemy she's hitting, she's getting 100% damage just off that. And then upgrade 6 to 11, damage plus 30%, SP minus 10%, and range plus 10%. She's immune to stun and reduces the time of status ailments by 75%. So if a unit is stunning you for 10 seconds, she'll have that stun for 2.5 to 3 seconds. She won't have that stun forever, basically. Then she has her active ability Excalibur that makes her ridiculous. Upgrade 10, gain Excalibur plus 1% damage with each kill using Excalibur up to 25%, right? But Excalibur actually gives her a crazy damage boost right here. Upon activation, damage was 300% and uses the attack Excalibur for 3 turns. Now hits all enemies in a line in front of where this unit is facing. Damage was 1% with each kill using Excalibur, up to 25%. And this is a local cooldown. So if you have Ethereal on your Saber, that is pretty much as good as having Monarch on her. She is ridiculous. And this is only a 120-second cooldown. It is a local cooldown, so you can place it, max her out, use it, sell her, place her, and basically have a 100% uptime of Saber doing 600 damage. It's ridiculous, or 600k damage. She's ridiculous. So that is why she is going in number 6. All right, now we're getting to the top 5. At number 5, we have Yuhabaha. Yuhabaha is broken, guys. He's broken, and a lot of you already know this. Yuhabaha has the almighty immune to all status ailments, plus 5% damage for every status ailment avoided. We don't really care about that, right? Whatever. The man who saw the future: when this unit attacks, it'll do an additional attack on the last enemy in range at the same time, right? Cool. If there are different enemies and the first one and the last one are different, he'll attack them both. Cool. We don't care about that. That's whatever. This is what we care about right here. Ash Fallen, upgrade 11, gains the active Ash Fallen plus 5% range every time Ash Fallen is used, up to 20%. Now, let's go down to Ash Fallen. Let's see what this does. It's passive. Switch between 2 toggles, right? Like Toji. Toggle 1 buffs all units in range by 50% damage and lose 30% attack from this. Unit cannot stack, right? So he loses 30% attack and everybody else in range gets 15% attack. So he basically acts as a support unit, right? Now, toggle 2 is where things get kind of weird, kind of wonky. He debuffs all his allies in range by 20% damage and 10% range. And then he gains 10% damage and 5% range per allied unit debuffed by this ability. So what this is doing is, if you have 12 units in this unit's range and you toggle this toggle 2, he gains 10% attack or 10% damage for every single unit in his range that he's debuffing. That's essentially a 120% attack buff. So that means if you put like a whole bunch of 6 placement, 5 placement rares around him, he will eat those. They are basically food for your watch. He's basically food for a Yuhabaha. So you just feed him and feed him and feed him, and he will be the main DPS, and he will be up to like 1,000,000 damage. I've seen so much stuff on Yuhabaha. He's doing so much damage. So if you want to take him in Infinite, you want to take him in Boss Rush, if you want to take him in all of these other events, he's doing so much damage. He's a great unit, and he's one of those units that you need to go grind for, and I'm pretty sure you can get him in the rifts. He is a 2% drop chance there. He is number 5 on this list, and he is crazy strong. Coming in at number 4, we have Eizen, none other than Eizen Aura. Eizen, he is immune to all status ailments. This is Big Daddy right here. This is Big Daddy Eizen. Every enemy within 40% of this unit's range takes an increasing amount of damage every second, scaling from 1% to 80% of this unit's damage based on how close they are to this unit. This guy has aura. You even step in his range and he's doing damage to you. He doesn't even need to do it himself. Now, this complete hypnosis, anytime a health stock is removed, forces every enemy on the map to walk backwards for 5 seconds. So you can combo this with Ichigo's attack. You use Ichigo and Aizen together. You pop Ichigo's nuke, gives him 700% damage, and then all the enemies on the map will start moving backwards, start getting CC'd, and then he gets minus 5% SPA for every health stock missing. So they're a great combo together. It's kind of crazy if you can pull it off in game. But yeah, He is really good. He has great TC, and then he gains the active Diavolo 81. Every enemy stopped by Diavolo 81 increases the damage conversion by aura of an additional 2% for the duration of this ability. So you pop this goes from 2% to 100% of this unit's damage based on how close they are instead. So it's crazy. So his aura basically doubles. And then this right here, Diavolo 81, spawns in a giant Reishi wall, stopping all enemies from passing it. So he has a huge wall that blocks enemies from moving anywhere. He can make them walk backwards. He does damage to them when they all just enter his aura, and that doubles. His aura damage doubles. So he is just constantly doing damage. There's no instance where Eizen is not doing a ridiculous amount of damage, and they gave him ridiculous CC as well. So you can literally right here, meta DPS, meta support, meta infinite. You can use him everywhere. Eizen is a crazy unit, and that's why he is number 4 on this list. All right, we are finally here with the top 3 units in anime Vanguards. And if you guys haven't made it this far in the video, make sure to leave a like down below right now, comment what you think, and subscribe. It helps me so much. Now at number 3, we have none other than Diavolo. Diavolo just recently got a buff and put him back into the meta. Let's see what he does. Court of the King, damage was 50% if there's a boss currently on the track, and then damage was 1% every time an enemy is slowed. And it doesn't have to be him slowing the enemy. You can pair him up with Crocodile. Crocodile will activate this guy's passive buff if you just have him on the team, right? Then he has a 100% chance to dodge, performs a counterattack that deals 50% of this unit's damage to that enemy that attacked. So so if Frieza throws a what's it called at him, and then he dodges it and he can counter. He counters that. So he can't be hit. He can't be hit. So he basically has immune to status ailments, but he's a counter attack unit. Then he has complete erasure. Gains the ability complete erasure. Counterattacks during the complete erasure deal an additional 50% damage. So he gets 100% of this unit's damage on his complete erasure when he's countering, right? After complete erasure ends, all enemies are slowed by 50% for 10 seconds. Crazy. Now, complete erasure right here. Damage in range plus 50%, not 15, 50. Confuses all enemies in range. Enemy health regeneration is nullified. Enemies killed during complete erasure cannot spawn/split into more enemies. So he turns off regeneration. He turns off the thrice multiplier basically, and then he gains 50% more damage, and then on top of that gains another 50% when he's countering. Now, they didn't do anything to his passive. His passive is exactly the same as it was when he released, but they just raised his damage a lot. They raised his damage a lot. So he was doing like what, 100, 200k. Now he's doing like 500k and then 76, 80k on placement. It's kind of ridiculous. So yeah, these Vanguard units, as you can see, the next top two units are Vanguard units. All the top 3 are Vanguard units because they are planning on making Vanguard units the best in the game for a very long time. All right, so next character we have is Gogeta. I hate seeing Gogeta as number 2, so we're gonna just label these 1A and 1B. So we have Sanji, Igros at 1A, Gogeta at 1B. So Gogeta, 10% chance every attack to not attack. If he does not attack and he instead slows the enemies and raises attack by 5% up to 50%. So every time he doesn't attack, he's actually slowing the enemies and then raising his attack by 5% on his next attack. And then he has the Monkey King. Anytime this unit attacks, a clone will appear mirroring the last attack this unit made. Yep. So he basically, if you see his placement damage at 12k, double that basically. He's doing a lot of damage. Gains the active instant teleportation. Anytime instant teleportation is activated, decrease SPA by 20% for 20 seconds. Now, this is one of the best active abilities in the game because he does so much damage. He has a clone that does a lot of damage, like 70% of his damage. And then not only that, you can do it every 20 seconds. It's a 20-second cooldown, I believe. Yeah, it's a 20-second cooldown, and then you can move him anywhere on the map, and then he stops leaking. He stops the leaks, if they can even leak past Gogeta in the first place. Like, it's ridiculous. He is one of the greatest units that they have ever released in this game, and he is still so strong. I recently got Monarch on him, and he is just ridiculous. I love Gogeta. Gogeta is number 2. Now we have Sanji and Igros. Sanji and Igros do a lot. This unit has a mana bar. He starts the match with it. Anytime this unit spawns a summon, the unit loses 40% of its total mana. Anytime a unit is defeated, this unit gains 2% of their total mana. Anytime mana is lost, damage is buffed by 0.5% up to 30%. That's a lot. So every time he uses a summon, he loses 40% of his mana. Every time an enemy is defeated, they gain that 2% mana, even if they're defeated by him or the summon. And then anytime mana is lost, the damage is buffed by 0.5%. Right? And then he has the general. Anytime an allied summon dies in this unit's range, increases damage by 5% up to 50%. So whenever any summons that he spawns dies, he's gaining 5% damage on top of all the things that he already does. Right? So that's a potential 80% damage boost right there. Then he has this increase is reset after this unit attacks. So he's getting the reset, but he spawns so many summons that this is just gonna keep ramping and resetting and ramping and resetting, right? If none of this unit summons are on the track, this unit gains 20% range and 30% damage. So if you don't have any summons, or you don't have any mana, you don't have anything, just a flat out 30% damage, 20% range buff. Then he has the Monarch. This unit summons gain an additional health based on the percentage of current mana remaining at the time of their summoning. So there's been times where I've summoned Bilu and he comes out with 1.1 million HP. So the more mana you have when you summon your big summons, the more health that they will have based on the percentage of remaining mana that you have. Now, he's really strong, and this doesn't actually show everything he has. He has a whole bunch of stuff down here as well. He has his active skills, which are one-time uses. These are big attacks that he can use. Sanji launches an attack, dealing 4 times their displayed damage in a full AoE. This can only be used once per player a match. Once per player per match, right? So if he's doing 200k times four times that, right? He's doing 800k. And then if you then he has the Igros attack. Igros launches an attack, dealing 6 times the display damage in a full AoE. This unit can be only used once per player per match. So just one time a game, you can use this. And then he has Duo. Sanji and Igros launch a combined attack, dealing 10% of their 10 times their damage displayed in a full AoE. So all of these are full AoEs, and they're doing 4 times, 6 times, 10 times. You have to hit a certain level to be able to unlock each of these, but it is a crazy strong nuke by the time that you have that. And then he has summons that just come out, and he still has the Arise, but it's kind of like an auto. Every time a unit is killed, you can just activate it, and it'll constantly summon units based off of the units that you have killed. So he has so much in his kit, and he's doing so much damage, and it's just oppressive to these stages, and they just cannot keep up. So yeah, Igros and Sanji are 1A, Gogeta 1B, Diavolo 3, Eizen 4, Yuhabaha 5, Saber 6, Yamamoto 7, Alukard 8, Gilgamesh 9, and Ichigo 10. That is the top 10 units that we have in Anime Vanguards. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like down below. Comment what you think about this tier list. Which ones are you moving? Which ones are you adding? Which ones are you removing? Let me know in the comments down below, and subscribe. It's your boy LorTomo. Peace.